Hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. The Sensex and the Nifty end the first week of 2025 with gains of 1% despite a lackluster Friday. The rupee remains largely steady against the dollar even as it ends at a record closing low, and crude oil prices inch higher, hitting the highest level in over 2 months. With 268 IPOs in 2024, the National Stock Exchange sets new milestones, records the highest number of IPOs in Asia and the highest capital raised in the primary market anywhere in the world at $19.5 billion. Bitcoin prices inch back towards $100,000 as it marks its 16th birthday. Crypto investors are betting on a favorable market environment under the Trump regime and hope the U.S. Congress will pass its first ever crypto-focused legislation. No new incentives for electric vehicle makers. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal says industry and the government believe new SOPs are not needed after meeting top executives discuss ways to boost charging infrastructure. Hindustan Unilever is said to be in talks to acquire Jaipur-based skincare startup Minimalist. Money Control reports the deal is likely to be pegged around 3,000 crore rupees. HUL says it will make appropriate disclosures whenever there is any material development. A U.S. court assigns all 3 cases related to the Adani fraud charges to the same judge. CNBC TV 18 exclusively learns that the cases have not been combined but have only been assigned to the same judge for efficiency and to avoid conflicting schedules. No date for the hearing has been set as of yet. Kotak Bank's Chief Operating Officer and Chief Technology Officer Milind Nagnur resigned, citing personal reasons. The resignation comes amidst an ongoing RBI embargo on the bank, stopping it from onboarding new customers online due to IT system deficiencies. In a bid to break the stranglehold of Boeing and Airbus, China's aircraft maker Comac is eyeing rapid expansion. Financial Times reports the state-run aircraft maker is targeting Southeast Asia in an attempt to spread its wings. More than 70 people killed in Gaza in the last 24 hours as Israel's relentless airstrikes continue in the new year. More than 45,500 people have been killed in Palestine in the last 15 months. FBI says there is no definitive link between the New Orleans truck attack and the Tesla Cybertruck explosion outside a Trump hotel in Las Vegas. President Trump blames Biden's immigration policies, calling him the worst president in U.S. history. South Korea's political crisis deepens. Tense standoff between investigators and guards inside impeached President Yoon's official residence. Investigators call off their attempt to arrest Yoon, say the execution has been impossible. Yoon supporters gather outside his residence, urge Donald Trump to intervene to stop the steal. Well, let's start with the market action of the day. The Sensex and the Nifty declined in trade today, even as they ended with gains of 1% for the week. The Nifty moving closer to the 24,000 mark. The Sensex lost about 700 points today. The Nifty Bank was down 600. Mid-caps lost about 180 odd points. That was the situation as far as this afternoon was concerned. But for the week, the Nifty has gained 1%. The mid-cap index has gained over 2%. The Nifty Bank was down by about 0.5%. That was the picture that played out for the week. Sanjeev Prasad of Kotak Institutional Equities expects the Nifty to gain 10% this year. Take a look.
Nifty, if you look at it, it's going to be a very bad year for 2025. It's only 4.5% growth. But keep that in the context of the fact that you had very high numbers of BPCL in the previous year. You had some accounting change in Coal India, which boosted its numbers in FY 2024. So if you strip that aside, that is remove BPCL and coal from the base, then you are looking at somewhere about 10% growth for the Nifty 50 for 2025. For 2026, as of now, we have about 16% growth, both on a reported basis, including BPCL and coal. And even without those two companies, also it seems like a similar 16% kind of a number. We'll have to wait and see if any of the policies of the incoming administration in the US are positive or negative. Hopefully, neutral to positive. Let's see, how things pan out. Valuations are high over there. If you look at the pharmaceutical sector, stocks gone up a lot in the last 6-9 months. But I can live with that. At least the company are showing pretty decent top line growth as also bottom line growth. Which brings us back to the banks and NBFCs, where valuations are very reasonable.
Well, that's the Kotak view. Now, the National Stock Exchange recorded new milestones in 2024, including the highest number of IPOs in Asia and the highest equity capital raised at the primary market anywhere in the world. According to a statement from the NSE, 2024 saw 90 main board IPOs, 178 SME IPOs, totaling 268 offers in the calendar year. Now compare this to China, which saw 101 IPOs, 93 in Japan and 66 in Hong Kong. A total of $19.5 billion were raised by the primary market issues at the NSE, and this is the highest in the world. The Nasdaq has seen IPOs of about 16.5 billion, NYSE 15.9 billion, Hong Kong about 10.4 and Shanghai about 8.8 billion. So it has been a record-breaking year for IPOs on the NSE. The rupee remained largely steady against the dollar even as it closed at another record low. The Indian currency weakened by 1 paise against the greenback, ending the day at 85.77. The 10-year bonds and yields also remained steady for the day. Veteran emerging market investor Mark Bobius says a depreciating rupee is good news not only for software companies but also for manufacturing companies and their exports. Take a look.
The other factor I think is very important, and that is for those companies that are exporting, let's say Infosys that exports a lot of software, they are going to become more competitive because of the weakening rupee. So I think you've got to look at many of these stocks that have a US dollar income component will continue to do very, very good. And I think we're on this cusp of more exports coming out of India, not only in the software area, but also in manufacturing.
That's veteran investor Mark Mobius on the depreciation in the rupee. Crude oil prices, meanwhile, at their highest level in the last 2 months. Brent crude ending 2024 lower by 3%. In fact, crude oil prices have stayed benign pretty much for the last 2 years, declining by 10% in 2023. China has promised to unleash fiscal stimulus to revive economic growth, could potentially lift demand for fuel. Investors also betting on rate cuts from the US Fed to bolster demand. Volumes in the crude oil market have also improved as traders return from their holidays. Bitcoin has turned 16. The cryptocurrency's price has skyrocketed from 80 cents in 2010 to a record high of $100,000 in 2024. Crypto investors have been betting on a favorable market environment under the Trump administration and are hoping that the US Congress will pass its first ever crypto-focused legislation.
What's positive about now is the new, the way people are looking at 2025. I think with the new administration coming in and pro-SEC chairman on the board, I think we are looking at a very positive outlook for cryptocurrency, and especially especially for Bitcoin. And we see that a lot of regulations are going to be in favor. And we'll see a lot of institutions getting in and probably, allocating some of their reserves especially in the Bitcoin side and also in the other cryptocurrencies as well.
Crypto started out as a currency, the payment system, and it was a swift, seamless payment system operated through blockchain, good technology. And at no point has the RBI said anything about the blockchain. But crypto has now become a commodity. It's become an exciting commodity. And FOMO seems to be hitting the younger generation, and everybody wants a piece of that action.
Well, Bitcoin turned 16. The world's largest private equity player, Blackstone, has plans to sell its majority stake in packaging company EPL. Money Control reports that Morgan Stanley has been roped in as the advisor. The process for the stake sale has not been launched yet, and the target is to find a suitable buyer by March 2025. Blackstone owns more than 51% in the packaging company. And staying with Deal Street, Hindustan Unilever is set to be in talks to acquire Jaipur-based skincare startup Minimalist for 3,000 crore rupees. Shilpa joins us now with the details. Shilpa, what are you picking up?
Well, that's what reports are suggesting, Sheen, that HUL is in talks with Minimalist for a 3,000 crore rupee deal to acquire the company. Now, this deal, is set to, if you look at the revenue of Minimalist, which recorded revenue of about 350 crores, right? Going by that, at 3,000 crore, Minimalist will be commanding a revenue multiple of about 10x for this deal. Now, it's a very interesting deal in the beauty and wellness space for two reasons. A, Minimalist has been a very successful successful company in the skincare space. In fact, it was one of the first companies that really made popular, your entire ingredient base, your retinol, niacinamide, and all of this. One of the very early on companies that brought this to India and made it very popular. It's been a company that has been doing very well. It reported revenues of about 350 crore rupees in the last fiscal, and which was up nearly 90% from 184 crores before. And its profits also more than doubled to 11 crore rupees, and it has been a profitable company for the past couple of years. And it's also interesting on HUL's end because of the focus that HUL has on beauty and well-being. In fact, last year it carved out an entity separately for beauty and well-being, and it reports, numbers for that separately now. And it also has a very important focus on this business. It reported a revenue of 6,700 crores in the first half of this fiscal from just beauty and well-being, and it is a market leader in skincare, in hair care, in color cosmetics, and HUL also claims to be the biggest. It is the biggest beauty company in the country right now, and they have also carved out a very a strategy for the beauty business where they want to build a focused portfolio for the beauty business. They want to do a lot more in reaching out to the audience through the media to create sort of like a mental presence for beauty in the country, and they also are focused on accelerating their physical reach for the beauty. Now, if you remember, the beauty brands that come under HUL currently are Pond's, Lakme, Vaseline, Dove, Sunsilk, and they also have some prestige and new and very affluent brands like Love Beauty and Planet, Simple, Novology, which are also very popular amongst Indian consumers. So if this deal does go through, it will be one of the biggest that we have seen in the beauty and skincare, beauty and personal care space at a time where the beauty industry is also booming in the country. Back to you.
All right. Many thanks, Shilpa, for joining us. In more corporate news, Kotak Mahindra Bank Chief Operating Officer and Chief Technical Officer Milind Nagnur has resigned, citing personal reasons. Now, this comes amidst an ongoing RBI embargo on the bank from onboarding new customers online due to IT system deficiencies. Ritu standing by with more. A departure at a time when the RBI strictures continue. And of course, the bank has been actively in dialogue with the RBI in order to get out of that ban, Ritu.
Milind Nagnur, the Chief Operating Officer and the Chief Technology Officer of Kotak Mahindra Bank, has resigned from the bank effective mid-February, citing personal reasons. And this is critical because you have the CTO stepping down amid the bank continuing to face a tech embargo from the Reserve Bank of India. Now, keep in mind, Milind Nagnur had joined Kotak Mahindra Bank as its CTO in August 2 years ago to help with the technological transformation of the bank. And then he was given the Chief Operating Officer responsibility later in April last year after Ashok Vaswani had taken over as the CEO. Now, we all know what happened after that. In April last year, you had RBI placing restrictions on Kotak Mahindra Bank from onboarding any new customers digitally, also stopping the bank from issuing new credit cards because of the deficiencies in the IT infrastructure. So therefore, the CTO's exit can raise concerns in the market, especially as the larger overhang of this tech embargo remains unresolved. However, the bank has not commented on whether Milind Nagnur's resignation is linked to the RBI action. In his own resignation letter, Nagnur has attributed this decision to plans to relocate, to the US to care for his family. Keep in mind, this is also the second big exit from the bank under Ashok Vaswani. After earlier, you had KVS Manian leaving the bank in April, of last year to take over as the Federal Bank CEO. So both on the top level exit from the bank and also the CTO exiting at a time when the bank is under tech embargo. Not good news for Kotak Mahindra Bank.
Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal met with EV players on the development of battery charging and swapping infrastructure. Minister Goyal said that the government and industry are on the same page and have decided that no new incentives or subsidies are needed for industry. Abhimanyu joins us now with more. Abhimanyu, take us through what was discussed, and is it clear now that no more SOPs likely for the EV business?
After a meeting with the industry over the development of battery charging and storage infrastructure across the country, Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal said that there was unanimity amongst the government and the industry that no new subsidies are needed for the EV ecosystem, and the existing subsidies are more than enough to propel the EV ecosystem towards further growth. He also said that lower battery costs, the lower overall cost of ownership and several other advantages for electric vehicles are going to prompt more people people to switch from IC engines to electric vehicles, which will propel growth in the sector. He also said that the government wants to encourage commercial establishments, resident welfare associations, and several other organizations to set up battery storage infrastructure to ensure that EVs become more popular and more tenable for people across the country to use. He said that auto companies and battery companies will also come up with comments for battery swapping by the 6th of January, and the government has left it to the companies to decide their own business model. Earlier, industry players had pointed out that the issue of interoperability of electric vehicles for now has been put on the back burner. The minister later explained that different companies in the EV space are currently at different levels of innovation and R&D, and companies may not be ready to share their inputs freely with each other. Hence, the government is not delving into that area. Also, the minister said that PESO has issued guidelines for consultation to set up charging stations at gas stations, and the minister has advised that the guidelines should be based on self-regulation, and the government does not intend to intervene a lot as far as setting up of more charging stations is concerned.
There have been certain issues that have been raised, and the minister and the ministry in their typical proactive way have actually asked the different elements and parts of government, whether it relates to location of swapping stations and charging infrastructure, whether it requires on standards.
So it could be the end of the road as far as future subsidies for electric vehicles are concerned. Charging, of course, is a different matter. In international news, Israeli forces continue to bombard Gaza, killing at least 17 Palestinians in a series of attacks since this morning. They also continue to attack humanitarian zones across the region. Officials in Gaza have said Israeli forces have carried out heinous crimes across the Strip, with 34 airstrikes that killed at least 71 Palestinians in the last 24 hours. The United Nations has denounced Israel's move to attack hospitals in Gaza, citing that medical facilities are off limits to military attacks. Ukrainian President Zelensky says US President-elect Donald Trump could help end the war with Russia. In a televised interview, Zelensky said that Trump's decisiveness and unpredictability could help Kyiv stop Russian President Putin. His comments came after Ukrainian military said it carried out a precision strike on a Russian command post in the Kursk region. Russian officials have also confirmed the attack, adding that 4 Ukrainian missiles were downed in the region. On to South Korea, where the political crisis has deepened. Authorities have suspended an attempt to arrest impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol. The investigators decided to halt the bid after a standoff with security guards inside Yoon's residential compound. Yoon supporters protested against the arrest and urged Donald Trump to intervene. In international news, the FBI has confirmed that there is no definitive link between the New Orleans truck attack and the Tesla Cybertruck explosion outside the Trump Hotel in Vegas. The Bureau added that Shamsuddin Jabbar, the accused in the New Orleans terror case, acted alone. They added that 3 phones and 2 laptops connected to Jabbar have been recovered. Meanwhile, the Tesla Cybertruck explosion suspect Matthew Levels Berger was found dead inside the vehicle. Officials said he shot himself in the head before the truck exploded. The suspect had served time in Afghanistan and Ukraine as part of the US military. US President-elect Donald Trump blaming Joe Biden's immigration policy for the series of violent attacks in the first few days of the new year. In a post on social media platform X, Trump called outgoing President Joe Biden the worst president in the history of America. The Indian government has reacted to the controversy surrounding H-1B visas in the US. External Affairs Ministry spokesperson said that the visa program is beneficial to both nations, and India is looking forward to deepening its economic ties with the US. Sharp divisions have emerged within President-elect Trump's inner circle over H-1B visas, but Trump and Elon Musk have backed the visa program.
India-US economic ties benefit a lot from the technical expertise provided by skilled professionals, with both sides leveraging their strengths and competitive value. We look forward to further deepening India-US economic ties, which are to our mutual benefit.
Well, a US court has assigned all 3 cases related to the Adani matter to the same judge. CNBC TV 18 learns the cases have not been combined but have only been assigned to the same judge for the purposes of efficiency and to avoid conflicting schedules. No date for the hearing has been set yet. Parikshit joining us now with more. Parikshit.
Well, we have been following this case closely, and we know that there are two cases that have been filed in the United States against Gautam Adani and others for alleged bribery of Indian government officials, state government officials, in connection with a effort to secure solar power contracts. And they have been charged for misrepresentation and bribery in the United States because in a way they have misled US investors. Now, what has happened is that a US court has assigned now all the cases in this matter to a single judge. The cases have not been combined, but now will all be heard by a single judge for judicial efficiency. The court has also noted that all the cases arise from similar allegations and from the same transaction of events. So they have been assigned to one US district judge who will be hearing the matter, and he will be looking at both the SEC case, which leads to market developments and market violations, and the criminal case which had been filed at the Eastern District of New York Court, now which was a criminal case against Gautam Adani and others, where their imprisonment and warrants were also issued. So let's see what happens in this case. Adani Green Energy is at the center of these allegations for paying $265 million in bribes to Indian officials. Now, this is as per the US DOJ. The Adani Group has refuted all these allegations, saying that the Adani Group or Gautam Adani and his associates have not been charged for corruption or under the US Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, but they have been accused of securities and wire fraud and misrepresentation by the US court. So what happens now is that all the cases are moving to a single judge, and this could speed up the manner in which these cases are taken up in the months to come.
Parikshit, many thanks. The architect of one of India's worst financial scandals, Ketan Parikh, has been banned by SEBI yet again. Market regulators also impounded 66 crore rupees for allegedly front-running trades of a US-based fund. Home rental platform Nestaway's co-founder and former CEO Amrinder Sahu has initiated a criminal case against the company's investors. The complaint accuses Tiger Global, Goldman Sachs and Sahu's fellow co-founders of fraud. Sahu has alleged that his signature as a company director was used illegally to finalize a deal. The FIR has also accused the investors of leaving the board to avoid bearing the financial burden when the firm faced heavy losses. Up next on India Business Hour, in a bid to break the stranglehold of Boeing and Airbus, China's aircraft maker Comac is eyeing rapid expansion. That and more when we return. US President Joe Biden has said he has decided to block a $15 billion takeover of US Steel by Japan's Nippon Steel. Biden's order compels both companies to abandon the transaction within 30 days. The president said that there was credible evidence that the acquisition would impair US national security. The US Committee on Foreign Investment referred the decision to Biden in December after failing to reach a consensus. Remember, this is an issue where even President-elect Trump has said he would block this transaction. Apple has agreed to pay $95 million as compensation over allegations that Siri has been recording user conversations without permission. It's alleged that Siri was secretly recording conversations even though the Siri application was not activated. The company has not admitted to any wrongdoings. However, it's decided to end the 5-year-old lawsuit. If the settlement is approved, millions of Apple customers will end up receiving compensation. United States National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan is set to visit India next week as President Biden wraps up his 4-year term in the White House. Sullivan is expected to meet Prime Minister Modi and External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. He's also set to hold talks with his Indian counterpart, Ajit Doval. Severe cold wave and dense fog conditions have disrupted flights and railway operations across North India. Air quality in Delhi has worsened, slipping back into the very poor category. Over 100 flights were delayed due to bad weather conditions and low visibility in the national capital. The Met Department expects very dense fog to persist today and tomorrow. It's also forecast heavy rains this week. A diamond ring worth $20,000 from Prime Minister Modi to the First Lady of the United States, Jill Biden, is the most expensive gift received by the Biden family in 2023. As per a document published by the U.S. State Department, the 7.5-carat lab diamond has been retained for official use in the White House. Prime Minister Modi's gifts to Joe Biden includes the first edition of a book on the Upanishads, a carved sandalwood box, among others. They've been transferred to the U.S. National Archives and Records. The global aircraft manufacturing industry is largely dominated by just two players, Boeing and Airbus. China is attempting to break that stranglehold with Comac. The Financial Times reports that the state-run aircraft maker is eyeing expansion in Southeast Asia as it attempts to spread its wings. Madhya Mujawar reports on China's plans to shake up the skies.
On 28th May 2023, China's first self-developed large passenger plane, the C919, completed its inaugural commercial flight. The plane took off from Shanghai and landed in Beijing, marking its official entry into the civil aviation market. The flight with 128 passengers on board was operated by China Eastern Airlines. Manufactured by the Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China, or Comac, the first C919 was delivered to China Eastern in December 2022. The second plane followed in July 2023. By August 2024, Air China and China Southern Airlines received their first C919s. As of December 19, 2024, Comac has delivered 14 C919 aircraft to these three Chinese airlines, with China Eastern Airlines taking the lead with 9 planes. Then, in a significant milestone, the C919 made its first international flight on 31st December 2024, completing a scheduled journey to Hong Kong. The Chinese government-owned manufacturer now sets its sights on expanding to international skies, starting with Southeast Asia. The C919, which can carry around 190 passengers and has a range of nearly 5,500 kilometers, it is a close competitor to popular narrow-body planes like the Airbus A320 and Boeing 737 MAX. Both of these giants supply to majority of the world's airlines but are currently grappling with supply chain challenges. Boeing's deliveries of the 737 MAX have been delayed, partially due to safety concerns and employee protests at its production lines. According to International Air Transport Association, or IATA, the global backlog for new aircraft has reached a record high of 17,000 planes. So could Comac's C919 play a significant role in filling this growing supply gap? While Comac has delivered 14 C919 aircraft since its first flight, Boeing is expected to produce 29 737 MAX planes per month in 2025. Meanwhile, Airbus produced between 46 to 47 A320 family aircraft every month in 2024. So Comac will need to up its game multifold to match these companies. And to challenge the industry titans Boeing and Airbus, Comac still has several hurdles to overcome. Although China has made substantial progress in designing and manufacturing the C919, the aircraft still relies heavily on foreign suppliers for critical components, like the C919 uses engines from CFM International. Comac has a limited experience in large-scale commercial aircraft production and faces the crucial question of international market acceptance. And then there's the issue of certification. It remains to be seen if the C919 will meet the stringent standards set by international aviation regulators in the US and Europe. In Mumbai, Madhya Mujawar.
Madhya, many thanks for joining us. That is China attempting to take on Boeing and Airbus. And with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour from all of us here. Thanks very much for watching. Do stay tuned. The news will continue right here on CNBC TV 18. We're back in a moment.